I want to talk about this National Player of the Year race right now. Cooper Flagg versus Johni Broome. This has been a huge debate going on in college basketball. Right now, the betting odds are Cooper Flagg's a pretty big favorite right now, but we've seen those flip-flop like crazy. One rolled ankle, everything switches. So with this debate right now, the stats are relatively the same. They are both on two of the best teams in the country. Auburn obviously playing in a much, much better conference. We all know that. But how much stock do you take into Johni Broome being 25 years old and Cooper Flagg being 18 years old? Should college basketball be pushing out the senior and saying, hey, or promoting the senior saying, hey, this is our guy, or should they be promoting the freshman? Because I feel like it's splitting hairs at this point for National Player of the Year, in my opinion.
No, I mean, that's a good question. Like, do they want to really, like you said, show the senior, like, hey, this will happen, you say 4 years, you see the progress, or do you want the freshman that should have been in high schooler this year that's projected number one overall in the draft? And honestly, I think it's a mix of both of, like you said, the numbers and stuff. And what boils down to is where I separate Cooper Flagg from Johni Broome is Cooper Flagg's efficiency was off a little bit. He was inconsistent from the field in November and early December, but since the calendar flipped to January, he's been efficient in all three phases of the game. Shooting the three, his pull-up mid-range has been there, and then finishing at the rim. And that's something Johni Broome, though he's averaging, or he'll have 18 in a night, you click the box score, he's 7 of 17 or 7 of 18 still. I know it's like 18 and 10. Then you see Flagg's 18 and 10, but Flagg's is, 7 of 12. And those little things matter to me because Flagg is getting his in three different ways, where Johni Broome is more of a low post threat. He'll step out at the top of the key, occasionally hit a three, but everything's more so around the rim, whereas Flagg is doing it all. And that's again, trying to be unbiased here, but that's how I view the Player of the Year race.
I know. I wish I disagreed, but I don't. For content purposes, I wish I was sitting here being like Stephen A. Smith going back at you, but I agree. And when the stats are similar too, look, Cooper Flagg, he's just honestly the better player. There's a reason he's going number one in draft boards right now. If they were both the same age, he's still going number one in draft boards right now. That doesn't matter. And the argument I get frustrated when I see is that he's not playing great competition. I understand ACC stuff, but there's also an adjustment for that where Cooper Flagg is getting taken out of these games with 7 minutes to go, and he's not able to add it to his stat line. And on top of that, okay, they played head-to-head, and he played great in that game. They've played tough opponents, and he's played really well in those games. So I think the tougher opponents argument, I feel like, is somewhat flawed in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there, and I agree. My counter to everybody saying Johni Broome over Cooper Flagg. If you pull out Johni Broome from Auburn, I think Auburn's still a wagon. Now, will they win the national championship without Johni Broome? No. But if you take Cooper Flagg off of Duke, I think Duke is still a really good team, but he takes them to that level to be a championship caliber team. Whereas I think the 7 guys Auburn has, they're all unbelievable. Like Todd Pettiford's one of my favorite players in the country.
He's so good.
And when he's a lightning bolt, he's unbelievable.
He's just like the quintessential. The dude is he's just a hooper, man. I mean, he takes the coldest shots. I've done some Auburn stuff on the podcast before, and my takeaway is Auburn takes a lot of really quote unquote inefficient bad shots, but it just doesn't matter because these dudes are just shot makers, man. I mean, Todd Pettiford just takes tough shot after tough shot, and if the opponent is a big opponent, he makes it. If the opponent is, North Carolina A&T, he's not making it. That's just a simple fact with him.
No, that's true. That's what I love about him. He's a jitterbug, and his confidence shows, and he plays to the level of competition, but in a good way. Like the Alabama game, Alabama came back, and then he hit a big three to put him up on the road against the rival, and that's what Todd Pettiford's so special for. But, yeah, and also the last point is just the usage rate. Cooper Flagg, Duke plays through Cooper Flagg, and the ball goes through his hands all the time, every possession. Whereas Auburn go away a little bit from Johni Broome and still maintain the pace of the number one offense in the country.
Absolutely. I think we nailed it. So we're both Cooper Flagg. I mean, obviously we're biased. Yeah, I know. Shocker, both Duke guys, but
Hornets guys. Cooper Flagg and Hornets.
Cooper Flagg to the Hornets. People have called me crazy saying no shot that happens. No way Adam Silver is going to let that happen. I somewhat agree with them because Adam Silver and the NBA commissioners have done their absolute best to try and ruin the Hornets' future. So, I mean,
Yeah.
uh,
Look, we can only pray. That's all we can do. We can only pray that
oh,
it happens one time for us.